Felix here, and welcome to this pre-market live stream. I want to run you through the following because I think it really matters. Why does it really matter? Well, I've got some serious concerns about Nvidia, and I'm not the only one. Bankers are talking about it. Brokerage desks are talking about it yesterday and today. I want to show you also how to spot breakout stocks. That's some second. And then number third, Apple earnings. Big one, biggest stock out there, right? Insanely important. And the earnings are, well, at least on the face of it, or maybe not on the face of it. On the face of it, might be all right, but underneath it, there is a bit of a disaster brewing. That's the word, isn't it? Got to pour myself some more pomegranate juice to make it through this. And I want you to understand that because that's important. Even if you just have an ETF on the QQQ or the S&P, this is important. And then I want to show you the actual data points that literally nobody else understands out there or looks at out there. And they'll show you why I'm bullish on the market overall. But there are a couple of outliers here. And then I'm going to give you my top trade idea for the day. Does that sound good? Anybody else want my top trade idea for the day? So like Elliot, my friend, I'm very, very happy to see that. Started your trading journey 6 weeks ago. You're up $10,000 with a 10% return. Amazing, my friend. That makes me very, very happy. That's precisely why I share what I share here and don't just trade on my own in a dark basement. I leave the trade idea to the end to keep us hanging. All right, I'll do exactly that as you asked then. Yes, please. Yes, please. Okay, brilliant. Okay, so we'll cover all of that, shall we? Let's do that. Let's get cracking. So, you lot, you are the retail investors. I am too. You're wondering why I was a minute late, by the way. I was chasing a cat out of the studio, who I knew would, if you let him in here, he'd chew the wires on the back of the computer. That's the kind of kitten he is. Retail investors have never bought more Nvidia than the last 2 days or so. They're just buying the freaking dip like there is no tomorrow. $500 million in net inflows record ever. And you might think that's very positive, but is it, right? Is it? Is it really? Who thinks Nvidia is gonna go to the moon? Who thinks this is the greatest stock ever? Anybody think this is the greatest stock ever? Put a 1 in the chat if you think this is the greatest stock ever. So people are pointing towards this. I'm seeing this a lot bounded about from pretty smart traders who are saying every time we got one of these candles that looked like this, and it would have been, it's essentially a hammer candle. Yeah, we just had one yesterday. A couple of people say yes. Ryan is a bit cautious. Pascal doesn't agree. Okay, a bit of some zeros, some halves, and so some of you are a bit cautious there. They're saying that every time that happens, you know, Nvidia rallies massively, and it is entirely possible. But let me explain to you why I am cautious on this stock right now. Doesn't mean I'm bearish forever on the business. But I just posted this on X. I'm starting to turn bearish on Nvidia. 20% of revenue comes from Singapore. If I could spell Singapore, I wouldn't have been a banker. I would have had a real job. And every major Nvidia client is working on own chip designs, which is true, right? Meta, Amazon, Microsoft, everybody. So the question, therefore, is have these crazy margins that they have, because they really have crazy margins. They have like software margins for a hardware company. And if you think that through, it's much harder to do that when you're manufacturing something. Even when you outsource the manufacturing. What am I missing? And this is the headline from Bloomberg today, saying the US is probing if DeepSeek, the Chinese AI company, got Nvidia chips from firms in Singapore. Singapore is 20% of revenue for Nvidia. Now, Singapore is an amazing place. It's a lovely place, really lovely people and all of that. But have you seen it on a map? Singapore, right? It's here. It is teeny, tiny, and teeny. 6 million people live there. And if you zoom out, it is, it's a pin drop, right? It's a tiny little city. Punches above its weight. It's true. That's it. This is it. This is all there is to it. It's sort of, half of New York or something. But it is absolutely ridiculously, infinitesimally small. And they have no major AI hyperscaler supercomputer to speak of. So what's happening to these 20% of revenue chips, right? And whoever's saying that, Jensen's meeting Trump today, you're precisely right. The Donald is meeting Jensen today at the White House to discuss export restrictions. Now, I'm not accusing any of you of anything, but it is very, very hard to control where your stuff goes. You're willing to sell your wares, the people who are willing to buy them will end up with them. It's a bit like arms, right? They always end up in the people who are willing to pay the most for it, no matter how you try to restrict it. But this is potentially a downside. The second thing that Trump is not going to like at all about Nvidia, this is a Taiwanese setup. So Taiwan has this agreement whereby they manufacture the latest generation of chips in Taiwan and Taiwan only. So the factories that are making chips in the US or in Europe or anywhere else, they're making an old chip. They're never making the latest nanometer chip. And Trump, I think, is going to ask the question, why the heck are we paying for all your chips? Why the heck are we bailing out Taiwan if you then don't give us the technology, even though you're an American business, and you refuse to manufacture the latest technology and bring it to the US? I don't think this is a conversation that Nvidia is going to win. So this is going to be a bit of a challenge, right? So secondly, the DeepSeek thing, whether it's true or not, there is an element there that AI is going to get more efficient. So we're not going to need this forever more chips. Still going to need a ton of chips. And Meta said that yesterday, and Microsoft said that. They're still going to buy a ton of chips. Nvidia is still an amazing, huge business. But it is possible, in my view, and I think it's a risk, that margins, the ability to charge premium prices, and these growth rates might have peaked. And that isn't brilliant for the stock price. If you look at the stock price this morning, it is down 0.5%. Not a lot, neither up nor down, but it isn't absolutely brilliant. And if we look at the chart here, and I'm not saying, it's all over or anything like that. I'm not one of those, hater lists extremists, but I'm just saying I see a lot of risk here, and I see a lot of people buying this dip, and I'm just saying, I'm not so sure about this. So not a lot happening here, right? Despite that hammer candle. So watch out. Okay, if we get a big volume today and we start to fill this gap upwards, then the market's loving us. Maybe Trump's going to come up with a deal that's amazingly sweet for Nvidia. It's all possible. But we all sell Nvidia. Felix buys, says Frankie. No, that's not how I roll, my friend. That wouldn't happen. I would tell you if I'm buying it. I don't own any Nvidia, by the way. Don't own any at all. So, you don't want to say extremists. My thumbnails and me, we have, what do you call it? Split personalities. The thumbnails please whom? They please you lot on YouTube. People always say, it's the algorithm, you're only for the algorithm. No, the reality is, human psychology is that. Our thumbnails compete with all the other thumbnails out there. Everybody makes crazy thumbnails. Therefore, if you don't make crazy thumbnails, nobody views your content. I think our videos here are anything but crazy. They're usually fairly detailed and in-depth and perhaps on a little bit of a boring side. But my intention is to educate you, not to make you, super entertained. I try a little bit to entertain you. Mostly that isn't intentional, but Frankie, okay, I appreciate your joke there. So yeah, I would be a little cautious on the video. That's all I'm saying. Just be a little cautious on it. And maybe set up some sort of hedge or something. I also want to announce officially now, because this is now an official announcement, an official product launch in TradeVision, the software that we make. We officially have our breakout indicator out. This is a trade I bought last week on the breakout notification that I get by email every single day. I bought it here, and we're trading right now here, which is about 11% up, which is not too shabby in a week, right? So would I have spotted DXP Enterprises? No, I wouldn't have, because I didn't know this company existed. But I bought it, and we're making money, and at the moment it's looking very, very good. Again, I'm not telling you to buy it, but if you want to spot these breakouts, and we literally scan thousands of stocks twice a day for like my criteria, then I think this is insanely helpful. And it is insanely cheap. In fact, we throw it in free of charge for anybody who joins right now. Well, yeah, felixprehn.org/TradeVision, and you can get it, see it every day. Now, will you make lots of money instantly if you follow all of our breakouts? No, I still think it's risk management that actually makes us money in the long run, and understanding a little bit why and how. But it's a screener. That's how I see it. So I use it as a screener. I'm not buying every single one of those trades, but I usually buy some of those trades most days. And of course, I'll answer to you guys in the coaching community. But yeah, I'm finding it super, super useful. Logan says, great tool either way. Precisely. That's the intention. Was it not official before, Logan? No, it wasn't official. It wasn't official. It's never official till we officially announce it. Now it's officially announced, therefore it is now official. Could we be any sillier today? So head over to felixprehn.org/TradeVision, get yourself a free trial, and you'll see today's breakouts, which are under the breakout tab there. If I show them to you, then there won't be any incentive for you to click on it, right? And then you'll know what they are. So do check that out, and I hope it gives you tremendous value. If it doesn't, then you cancel it before the end of the trial, and then it doesn't cost you $1 or a dime or even a cent. Hopefully it's given you some ideas. Now, item numero 2 is, how do we see the breakout indicator? 2 ways of seeing it. On this Trends AI chart here, the one in the top right, you click on breakout, or on any of our stock charts, there is a little button here which says breakout. And then you can go back and you can look for one. So the last Nvidia breakout we called was here at 110, which is a reasonably good call. Now, we would have exited somewhere up here. At least I would have done. But yeah, that was a pretty good call. And I'm sure there were some others. If you go back far enough, yeah, you see here in the sort of 20, 30 zone. So you can toggle them on the chart, or you can look at the daily screener. Fox Gaming, thanks very much for putting the link in here. Fox is amazing. Should we give a round of applause for Fox Gaming, our voluntary? I was going to say something that was so inappropriate. I stopped myself from saying it. Anyway, I appreciate you very much for keeping the riffraff out. Okay, here's another one. Apple, biggest stock out there. The #1 holding of pretty much every investor out there who owns ETFs, because it's the #1 thing in all your ETFs, pretty much. How about teaching investing instead of trading, Margaret? It's the same thing, really. Just a slightly longer time horizon, but it's essentially the same thing. The same rules apply. Fox, you see all those hands up there? They're for you, my friend. Thank you. Apple, okay, earnings. Earnings per share was good. Revenue was okay, but it's 4% up. iPhone sales in China dropped 11%. Good, right? 4% revenue growth. What sort of business is this? Well, let's have a look at the real thing here. So iPhone sales, we'll color code this. iPhone sales are falling. That's bad. Watch iPod sales are falling. That's also bad. But Mac and iPad sales are growing a little bit. So product growth is growing a little bit. And services are growing a fairly impressive 14%, which is good. And the margins are higher on services. So revenue overall is up 4%. Margins slightly improved. Operating profit slightly improved. Net profit slightly improved. So, yeah. Okay, but 4% growth? What sort of company is this? You know, certainly not any other company with any kind of innovation. 4%. So what's the problem with 4% growth? I'll tell you. 2 lines on here. In orange, I got an orange line for you here. Tell me if this makes some sense. Put a 1 in the chat if this makes some sense to you. So we've got the revenue here. Apple revenue. Okay. And then in yellow, I don't know what, again, the author used orange and orange, so we could really make this very, very easy to understand. That here is inflation adjusted. Because inflation is pretty significant. And it means that since 2020, actual real revenue is falling. That's a problem. That makes some sense? Does that have you a bit concerned? Options trading in the UK, my friend. I would say Tasty is probably the easiest to use. Webull is also now available, and you could also use Interactive Brokers. That would be the three brokers that my UK students use. So not brilliant, right? Revenue is actually declining, and it's done so for like 4 years in a row, inflation adjusted. So not good, right? So what do we do with that? Well, it sort of points out why it's important to pick good stocks, because this is like the #1 stock in the world, and they have falling revenue. So I am concerned about that. I would like to own less Apple. At this particular moment, I would like to not own Nvidia. I don't. But not owning Apple is almost impossible. If you own QQQ or the SPY or VOO or any of those, you own bagfuls of Apple. And also, it's a little harder for the market to go up when the top stock isn't performing. At the moment, Apple is not performing. So what would I do about that? I'd learn how to spot the good stocks, the breakouts, and how to manage those, how to get in and out of those. And yes, the TradeVision indicator will definitely help. Richard, thanks for sharing that there. But you're going to need to learn some rules. How do you really pick the best ones? How do you get out of the stocks when they're up and not when they're down? And how do you manage and automate the whole thing so that you can sleep sweetly and make lots of money, which is really the idea, right? So how do you do that? Well, I recorded for you what? 15-minute masterclass. And how do you get access to that? On the screen, felixprehn.org/get-free. So if you want to learn how we actually pick the stocks, the actual 3 rules that I use, I give you the whole strategy, where to get in, where to get out, the whole thing, and you can learn it in 15 minutes, take some notes, and your life will be better. Who watched the masterclass already? Or who's going to watch the masterclass already? Let me know in the chat. Let me know in the chat, and then I'll walk you through the 4 reasons why I'm very, very bullish on the market overall, and then we look at my top trade idea for today, unless you don't want to know it. Got watched, MSP watched, Darren, Brent, Jonathan, Lilith. Watched, took notes. I love you for that, Lilith. Well done. Okay, watched. Thomas, yes, I will, many times. It's awesome, says John. Sue says watched. Okay, so anybody out of the 2,500 people here who haven't watched it yet might want to join the guys who have watched it. And Fox just put the link out here for you in the live chat, so you can literally just click on it, also in the description down below. But now that I've depressed you moderately, which was my intention this morning, let's depress a few thousand people. No, it's never that. There's always a silver lining. There's always an opportunity, and there's always a way for us to make money. Michael says it's simplicity. Masterclass in TradeVision are simple. Michael, I could not be happier if you said that you love it, because that's always my goal. My goal is to make it simple. And, you know, anybody can learn how to become a great investor. Anybody. Not rocket science. It's not particularly difficult. It doesn't take a long time. You don't need lots of money for it. All you need is motivation, the desire to do it, or want. And if you have that, you can become an amazing investor, and your money will eventually make more money than your job. And that's a wonderful place to wake up, and I can tell you that much. Okay, this is Goldman Sachs. Again, the bankers with the big fuzzy heart who keep lots of kittens in the office. You know, they basically run a shelter on Wall Street. That's what they're known for. And they're saying that corporate repurchases, corporate buyback, you see, they're so posh at Goldman Sachs. They say repurchase window. They don't say buybacks. Buybacks are opened up this Monday. 28% of companies are buying back their own stocks. Next week, it'll be 45% of stocks buying back their own stocks. And then the week after, it'll be 60%. Pretty amazing. So by the end of the 7th of February, 60% of companies will be back buying their own stocks back. Weird sentence, I know. And that means lots of money comes in. We're looking at $1.16 trillion worth of buybacks for 2025, which is pretty amazing. Trillions, yes, trillions, really trillions. So that is basically 4.64 billion per day. 7 billion during open windows, which is what we are entering now, and 3 billion during closed windows. So I keep telling you during the year when the open windows and the closed windows are, we are back into the open window now. So that's definitely very, very helpful. Ledeos, a friend bought TradeVision. He complained about pop-up ads. Didn't buy TradeVision then. We don't have a single advert in there, my friend. Not one pop-up ad in our TradeVision. Not a single advert in there either. And Scott doesn't want to put his phone number in because he thinks I'm going to call him all night long. I will do, Scott. I'll be calling you every 15 minutes. And I'll be singing All Night Long to you by Lionel Richie. There's always something in our minds. It's funny, isn't it? The mindset's a really curious thing. It finds reasons to hold ourselves back. And I have it too, and I spot it, and I smile at it, and I say, you will not get me. I will do what I want anyway, because my desire is stronger than your weird little hiccups. Seasonals, what does that mean? Well, markets go up in seasons, and at present, we are in this season here. We're basically there. And typically, the beginning of February is pretty good. And then we basically go up till the middle of February, mid-February. And that's kind of where inflows slow down a little bit. And then we tend to have a little bit of a sell-off. So again, this is, I think, Goldman Sachs data, is it? I think so. There is some good stuff to look forward to in the next 2 weeks here, according to that. And then we've got our friends, the computers, the algo funds. And in the future, all your friends will be computers, which is why I have a golden retriever. And it's algo funds, CTAs. They will buy this week if the market is flat. If the market goes down, they'll buy quite a lot, about 19 billion. If the market goes down, they sell a little, 8 billion. It's not that much. For the next month, if the market is flat, they'll still buy 18 billion, which means all the buying happens this week and not the week after. That's an interesting piece of information. And if we go up, they buy boatloads. But if we go down, they also sell a lot. But basically, a flat market will be supported. Up market will be boisterously supported. Gold retrievers are amazing. I know, I just played with mine in the park. It's just sweet. It's sweet, really. Played tennis with him yesterday too, which is also very sweet. Not just with him, with a friend and Winston. He loves it. And 90 minutes running after every single ball. And occasionally he gets one. And then the point goes to Winston. So, you lose the point if you don't get the ball before Winston. That's kind of our rule. We got some data out today too, and then we'll talk about trading a little bit. Government data here. Carl, thanks very much. Brian, been running TradeVision since October, no ads. Thanks very much for confirming that, Brian. There are no ads, and I don't think we'll ever have ads in TradeVision. I don't like ads. It's just annoying. Core PCE came in at 0.2, it was expected at 0.2. Personal income came in at 4.4, was expected 0.4. Personal spending came in higher than expected. That's a positive for the economy. And PCE price index month on month came in as expected. So it's good. Everything as expected. A bit more spending. That's generally supportive for consumer stocks and everything else out there. That's quite good, isn't it, really? Then I wrote trade, so I wouldn't forget it. Like, do you want to see? Do you want to see the trade idea I just came up with? You want to see it? Put a 1 in the chat. If you don't want to see it, put a 2 in the chat. We'll go with a popular vote today, shall we? Rob, your gold retriever, one of the best investments you ever made. They're amazing, aren't they? Well, mine was free. He was from a shelter, you see. But I gave him essentially. Lots of ones here. Frankie and more and Amy, I like your enthusiasm with the many ones. Okay, so there seems to be a popular opinion out there that you want to see it. Okay. Microsoft, not the sexiest trade in the world. I didn't tell you it would be, unless we get a picture of Bill up. Can't resist Bill, can we? So what do you see here? You see a stock that has a zone. You get a pen here. It's basically traded mostly in this kind of box, right? Mostly trades in this sort of zone since the beginning of 2024. Hasn't really done a thing. Now, the company is growing, revenue is growing, cloud computing is growing at 31%, and it dipped on the last earnings. Here, why did it dip? Because on the last earnings, cloud computing, this is important, might want to write this down. Cloud computing grew less than expected. Still like 30%, but less than expected. And you know what the reason was? They had more demand than supply. Demand was greater than supply because they couldn't get their hands on enough chips as quickly as they needed them. And the market said, that means you guys suck and we're going to sell you off. And then people eventually a week later woke up and said, that makes no sense. They have so much, they have more demand than they can handle. That's a good thing. It means they're going to grow, right? So the stock recovered. You know what has happened yesterday? They missed on what? Cloud computing. And you know what the explanation was? Computing. They have more demand, then guess what? Yes, you're right, then supply. They can't provide all the cloud computing that their customers would like to have because they have more demand than supply. More customers than chips. Is that a bad thing? Well, that's why the stock dripped. So does that make any sense? Like any sense whatsoever? To do this twice. It's just idiotic, isn't it? We do it once, we rally, we do it twice, and what are we going to do? So there's various ways you could play this. You could buy the stock, you could buy an option, you could do all sorts of things. I am tempted to do something a little bit more option-y because I like that. So I could do something, maybe go a little bit conservative here. The bull-put spread, it's called. The bull-put spread. I explain it to you very briefly. And if you've never seen options before and you find them scary, just listen for a minute and you'll learn something. So what can happen here? Stock goes up, we make money. How much money do we make? 31%. Okay. Stock can go sideways, do nothing. How much money do we make? 31%, you guessed it. Or the stock can drop to about $400. You can literally drop $18. And guess what? Still make 31%. So I basically have this zone here in which the stock can drop pretty low. I mean, I'll put a line in. I'll put a line in where my $400 is here. 398 or something like that. That blue line, make it a different color. That purple line is my break-even line. So I can literally go low as we did in August when Japan collapsed, or in April when I don't know what the terror was at the time, but we can drop quite a lot. We still make money. Or we can do nothing, or we can go up. Over the next 50 days, and I'll make 31%. Sounds like quite a good deal to me. I think it's quite a good deal. And let's see what the pricing is on the open of the market, because the market is literally just opening. And I will see, and don't try this at home. This is not financial advice. I'm not saying you should do this. I'm just saying this is the reason I'm doing it, and I'm illustrating it to you, and I hope you will learn from it. So I'll show you how I set this up. And please don't try this at home. What you want to be doing is getting yourself a paper trading account and practicing. So we have, I can cheat and show both charts at the same time. We have a March 22nd, and we are buying the green one. This is the 390. And then we're selling the 400, which is the other one. And there we are. We have that chart there. We can review that. So this would cost me, well, actually I get paid $2,000 for it. I literally get paid up front, but I need about $8,000 in credit here. And then the maximum I could make is about $2,000. So basically I get paid $2,000 up front, and hopefully I'll keep most of that. I'm going to make the trade a little bit bigger. So I get paid $4,000 basically right now. And it's moving a little bit here because it's very early in the morning. So we're going to be a little bit greedy. We're going to ping that off, and I'll let you know if it opens. Okay, so that's what I'm doing. And of course, that might be complete gobbledygook to you, which is completely fine. In which case, I'd suggest you learn the basics first. Watch the masterclass first. Get familiar with that stuff, and then once you are a bit more confident and comfortable, and the trade's just open Microsoft, which is nice. So then maybe the next level would be to learn options. You don't have to learn everything in one day. Like you have time. Okay? And tariffs next week. Yeah, tariffs are coming. Tariffs are coming. But can you see how Donald is using them as a negotiating tactic, right? He isn't just slapping them on. He's saying, I'm going to do this unless you give me something. And that's kind of the way he's going to play this, I think, the whole time, which is rather smart, really. Microsoft going up a little bit here, teeny tiny bit. All we want this to do is to basically go sideways, stay flat, stay above the 410 support line, or go a little bit lower, but not too low, and I will make money on it. Let's look at some other favorite stocks here. Let's look at Tesla. Is up 1 percentage point. Not a great deal, but a little bit. Every little helps, as they say. Above that yellow 50-day moving average line, which is important. I closed my Tesla puts yesterday, made some money on that, which is always nice. Let's look at Palantir, let's look at SoFi, some of the other ones out there. Colin, can you load your own Canadian stocks into TradeVision? Interesting. That's a very interesting question. Jolman there. I'll have to ask our devs how that works and if that works. Is your email address something similar to your screen name, my friend, so we can reach out to you? If it isn't, would you maybe give me the beginning of your email or something? Don't have to give me the whole thing. Just that way we can find it, we can look you up, and we can email you, so we can give you a proper answer on that. Palantir, it's at $83. Hang on, wasn't that resistance at 80? Hang on, let's have a look. It was. It's moved up. Do you see that? That's brilliant. So how does that work? So the resistance is the sum of all the trades out there that force institutional selling. I mean, it was at 80. We've struggled to break through it, but it's just moved up to 85, which is absolutely freaking brilliant. So loving that. The only thing that we'd like to see more of is volume. Volume is a little bit on the soft side, but this is very, very, very positive here for Palantir. SoFi. God, love that feature. Yeah, me too, because you can actually track it, right? SoFi, you can see here, for example, the exuberance coming out of it a little bit. It came from 20 now down to 17. Why? Because interest rates aren't coming down as quickly as people had hoped. Stocks still doing pretty well. 1647 there. How are our trades doing on SoFi? Let me have a look. And honestly, if you just want to learn this, like how to read these charts, you can learn this really, really rather quickly. All you got to do is just watch that masterclass, and it's gonna sink in. It's gonna sink in very, very quickly. Anybody can learn it. Don't need anything prior. Don't need any experience. Nothing at all. So our post earnings trade here, up 36%. It's pretty good. Very, very good, actually. And the other main trade is up 286%. Now, how that computes 604%, a little bit beyond me. Interesting. Okay, I'll take a screenshot of that and just ping that over to our developers. But anyway, we're doing very well. I think we're doing, 300% well, maybe not 600% well. Tesla is also still doing all right. We are up 177% there, which is pretty good. I did close that put position here yesterday. Actually, I haven't updated that, so that's looking pretty good. Now, any other stocks you want me to look at? Anything else that we got down there? PayPal is still kind of hobbling along, which is pretty good. Look, it's just, you see that purple line I drew in? It's just following the line, which is good. So it's looking good. Positions moving up a little bit there, $1. Very cautious move, but I'm excited about earnings. Very, very excited about earnings. Nvidia, I started this video off by saying I'm a little concerned about Nvidia. I would be, I'd be thinking about things to protect myself from that. And I will think of some things for that. There must be something that we can do to potentially protect a position. The things I can think of are a little complicated, so I think we'll pass on them for now. But yeah, it's not really going anywhere. Nvidia CEO Jensen Huang is meeting with the Donald today, El Presidente, who will be, I'm sure, very, very displeased with him. So it'll be interesting to see what they agree on. I think the only way Nvidia can get their head out of the noose is by confirming and announcing very significant investment in the US. And I think they should build the latest chip technology in the US. I don't think Trump is going to be pleased with anything else, because Taiwan doesn't do that, right? They do not permit the latest technology to exit Taiwan. They only make it locally. I don't think that's gonna fly. Martin, you want euro prices of stocks. Your underlying stocks are dollars, aren't they? You buying them in euros, you buying them in dollars. News or moose? Any other stocks out there? Shall we have a look at let's have a look at this was pre-market. This is live market. Tesla, Meta, Google, Microsoft, Apple up. Apple, I don't understand, to be honest with you. I have concerns there. Amazon up, that makes sense to me. Bit of a rebound. Palantir up 1.8%. Nvidia, the only one suffering a little bit here. But this is all looking pretty good. I would imagine consumer stocks are looking quite good as more consumer spending is out there. So these are also benefiting from that and so on. So this looks pretty good. MSTR scares me a bit. Yeah, I think it's meant to. He's a bit scary as well. Which is why it's always important to make those small positions, I think. Small positions with a lot of upside. That's the way I like to look at the riskier things. Oklo here, that looks pretty good. Pretty strong volume on the way up here, but you're going to take out the top from the 24th of January, I would argue, for this to keep going up, but looks pretty promising. The volume here is very, very, very significant. Tempus, the Nancy play. And in all seriousness, if you want to learn how to get the answers from these charts, just watch the masterclass. Felix runs a log get free. 15 minutes later, you'll have all the answers, and you won't have to ask me anymore. It'll be way quicker. Think about the time you'll save. So yeah, that was the massive breakout. That was the Nancy announcement. Actually, not a technical breakout for me. For me, the breakout would actually have kicked in yesterday because of the moving average line not going in the right direction. Today, still up another 2.2%. So the only thing there is that, well, volume excitement declined, popped up again. So the question is really what's happening there today. We get more volume, we get less volume. More volume, bullish, less volume, less bullish. Gook's breaking out. Someone's shouting. Who said that? Lukbo. Okay, appreciate you. Yeah, interesting. So what do we do? You could connect here these two or three tops. So you could, something like that. You could also maybe not do the tops, do the fat bits of the candles. There's no hard rule on that, to be honest. Something like that. You get the idea. We're breaking out above the trend here, and this is a really classic. You watch the masterclass, you remember this bit, right? You remember this bit? Yeah. So what are we missing for this to be a breakout so far? Well, what we are missing is the volume. So we need to see a lot of volume here today for this to be a real thing. If it is, then it looks good, and then you've got earnings coming up on the 4th, so you're going to kind of got to factor that in. But it's definitely a very, 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 very bullish setup here. Scott, yeah, volume precisely. You're getting very good at this, Scott, aren't you? Netflix. What happens when you learn with us? Netflix at 9,800. I bought Netflix after the earnings, as I'm pouring pomegranate juice all over my desk. I'm drinking out of a Japanese teacup, which I'm sure is offensive to somebody. Goodly done for the day. Offended at least one culture. So what's going on here? this is often what happens after breakouts. And people often get frustrated with that. That you get the big move up and then nothing happens for a while. And there's absolutely nothing wrong with that whatsoever. The question is then ultimately whether you break significantly down or whether you break significantly out. But for me, there is no action required right now. My Netflix trade is down 2%, which is neither here nor there. So we're looking quite good and quite happy with our setups here at the moment. What happened to GAC? I've had some GAC juice already, my friend. Carlos. Meritza, you off to get some coaching? Brilliant. Enjoy it. My uncle was in Pearl Harbor. Damn it! You see, offended at least Aaron. Thank you very much for sharing that. KOPN, another army contract. Okay, let's have a look. KOPN, which we covered. How long ago was that? Maybe a week ago or so, 2 weeks ago. And I said this is quite a promising little setup there. And we had that breakout here, but we've come down from it, right? Is that normal? Yup. Again, breakouts tend to move like this or something like that. Anyway, they tend to come down and form another low before they go back up again. So a little bit of patience is required on the present non-existent volume. So we need the volume to kind of come back there. Otherwise, this doesn't mean anything. CLX looks like a breakout. CLS. If you want to get some easy breakouts, just go to TradeVision.io. Links down below. Where is it? Here it is. Felix Prehn /TradeVision. And just click on the breakouts, because we deliver you breakouts every day by email twice a day and also in here. And you can see them. And you can also even go back. You can see them from the last couple of days. And you can use this as a watch list, as a screener to find stuff. And then you can obviously decide for yourself whether or not that's something you're interested in. But it saves bucket load of time rather than looking at 2,000 stocks, which is what I used to do. So yeah, nice jump up. Very impressive gap up here. We're still at these recent highs. They're going to take out these highs, I would argue, for this to really be a thing. But it's looking interesting for sure. CCL. I thought you said RCL. I bought some RCL. I haven't looked at CCL. Carlos, okay, good luck with the euro. Seriously, I have a friend who started drinking GAC juice. I bought it for him. I bought him 2 big cases back in the Philippines, and he used to have to get up, he said, every night, twice in the night, and he doesn't have to get up anymore. It's this miracle cure for what's the word? Words fail me today. You know what I'm talking about. Can you look at Toyota? I actually have a Toyota, but I wouldn't buy the stock, Mandy. I just wouldn't, can't bring myself to. KMDA, my friend, yeah, it's down a little bit, down 5%. I don't think it's neither here nor there. I'm still very bullish on that one, but give it a bit of time. That's where I would look at it. Doesn't mean you should. The fellas, yeah, something like that, Scott. Prostate, that's the word. Mayet saved us, indeed. It's all about prostate today. We're now going to make a 30-minute video on prostate. What's the weather in London today? Couldn't possibly tell you, my friend. I'm in Hong Kong right now. CCL has been excellent. Let's have a look. At least create some FOMO here. CCL. The whole sector looks pretty good, which is why I bought RCL. But yeah, that also looks very good. I agree with you on that. That looks like especially if you got in down here somewhere in the 26, that looks pretty good. The one I'm in is this one. Again, doesn't mean you should buy it. But there you go. Very similar setup. You can see that, right? So you've got your not the perfect downtrend, but something like that. And we broke out here on massive volume, and we're still climbing up very, very sweetly there. So we're very happy with that. RCL and I are very, very happy. I don't think you could ever get me on a cruise ship. I don't think of anything worse, to be honest, than being locked up with 2 billion people. But I know some people enjoy it, which is all that really matters. Can you get rid of the notification in TradeVision? Yeah, just click on it, my friend. Literally just click on it. And then once you do that, read it, and then it'll stop popping up. Or you can mark them all as red as well at the top. Mark them all as red, and that way they won't pop up anymore. Which is the point. There we are. So, in summary, go out there, enjoy your day, enjoy your life. That's really what it's all about. And in the meantime, decide what you actually want to be doing with your life. And once you've decided that, you actually have something that you want, and it'll then motivate you enough to go and sit down and watch my masterclass, because you're thinking that's going to be 15 minutes of pain. It isn't actually. I think it's quite enjoyable. Most of you finding it quite enjoyable, and you walk away with some actual knowledge you can implement not just now, but for the rest of your life. And it'll very likely make you into a much, much better investor or trader. It's the same thing, quite frankly. The same rules sort of apply pretty much. And you can actually get to the thing that you want. So go to felixprehn.org/get free. Get free. Thanks for tuning in.